Hey, this is Heidi Lynch.
And I'm Perrie Voss. And this is Avocado Toast, the series podcast.
Our web series was inspired by our real life experiences,
The great ones
and the heartbreaking ones. And our podcast series is inspired by the community around us, the people we collaborate with, the people who lift us up, the people who listen when things aren't going so well and celebrate when things are.
And in our podcast, we wanted to reach out and chat with other artists and creators to find out what makes them tick, what inspires them,
what drives them,
what brings them joy.
We hope that they inspire you as much as they inspired us.
Enjoy. Today, Perrie chats with Knox, who's an actor and filmmaker.
Hi, Knox.
Bonjour. How are you?
I'm good. You look so wonderful in the sunshine. It's like it's summer all over again.
It's amazing.
Amazing. So we are lucky enough today to be talking to Knox, who goes by Knox. She is a filmmaker and an actor and purveyor of all things fantastic and the content of film creation.
Perrie.
That's how I feel in my heart, so I have to say it. So how have you been doing? Are you busy? You're usually very busy, so
yeah, hazard of myself is just like keeping committing to too many things all the time.
Yeah,
never taking any breaks. Yes, unfortunately right now it is a rather busy time, so right. I'm kind of like, if I had no plans I would go crazy, like at the beginning of pandemic. Mm-hmm. When I, publicly lost my mind on the internet for everyone to see for, the better half, the better part of one and a half months.
I was living for it, so.
I definitely was not, but apparently some people enjoyed it on the internet.
Yeah, fair enough.
So no, when I have no plans, I go stir fucking crazy and I die. Mm-hmm. When I don't have lots to do.
I completely relate to that. So good for you.
Yeah, you. I think you're very similar in that you like to keep a packed schedule.
I do, and then I burn out, and I'm like, why am I so burnt out? So I get it. Yes. So you're sort of in a similar position to us because you released Slow Pitch, which you were a co-creator on around the same time as Avocado. You were sort of like in the production world, and then it got released a bit later. Is that right? The scheduling got pushed?
Yeah. We were thinking about maybe releasing in the spring, and then as fate would have it, and ended up being because of the broadcast deal without ended up being in July. Yes.
Because you guys are on Out TV as well, so you can check out your content. As well. And are you pushing towards, I know the answer to this, but are you guys pushing towards a season 2 right now?
We are actually, yes. We have a couple of bids in, some little grantee applications to see if we can rustle up some cash to do the second season. It'll be so fun if, Avo and Slow Pitch both get it, and then we can kind of be, we can be twinsies in production again.
I know, because we just don't, we don't want to shoot in the winter again, No,
it's the worst.
Surprised by
when did you shoot last time?
Well, we shot almost exactly a year ago. I think our first day was on the November 11th, but then this would have been glorious, but instead last year we had the most amount of snow of any November-December I'd ever remembered in my entire life.
I remember it did snow early last year. It was not nice.
No, there were days where I came out after our 12-hour shoot or whatever, and my car would be covered. I was like this, there's a foot of snow on my car. Was not prepared.
Not fun at all.
No.
It was portending of a bad year to come. It was November, December was snow, fuck you, but just get ready for 2020.
We had no idea. Yeah, it was definitely.
No, you had no idea what was in store for us.
No, how could we? How could we possibly? We just watched an SNL sketch about that they go to a fortune teller and she's foreseeing the future, and it was the Adele one. I don't know if you've seen that one, but
no, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it was very funny.
And they're like, oh my God, whatever.
Yeah. Why would I want to unfriend my friends for going to a restaurant? I don't get it.
That's so much.
Yeah.
Funny.
So, and you're developing a couple of other projects right now too. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Can you talk about some of those?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the one that sort of like spending the most time on is a show for CBC Gem called Homeschooled, that we recently got greenlit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we shot the pilot for it in September,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna go into full production in either spring or summer 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a show about two 16-year-old homeschool geniuses who set out to make a documentary disproving the myths surrounding the little understood world of homeschooling. And it's like very much in the style of aesthetically, it's like an early Wes Anderson. Like it's a lot of like, think about like Jason Schwartzman, but if he was a girl in Rushmore, and there was two of him, and the humor was like the humor in Pen 15 or Booksmart.
Amazing.
As my pitch.
Oh, fuck. I'm already watching it in my brain. I'm so excited.
Ah! Did Jay show you the trailer for or the
Yes.
pilot little thing for it?
Oh my God. It's so great.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, I've seen it a lot of times because they would watch it over and over and over. But you guys did such a great job with it. Like, I think just aesthetically,
Thanks.
design wise, and like all the shots. And yeah, I just think
That's what I'm into. Like, I think that this was one of the beautiful things that Avocado Toast did too, is that like there's not a lot of Canadian television that I find super stylish.
Yes.
Because like I hate to say it, but like Canadian TV can often be like a bit drab or like a bit like folksy, or it's not like willing to like take a stance and just like be a bit cool.
Mm-hmm.
And Avocado Toast did, like, there's so many scenes in that show, and there's like, and like the sartorial offerings that you guys were bringing, it's just really nice to see. And I think that like that's a thing that like the new generation of media makers in Canada like need to be charged with, is like giving some fucking stees Canadian television, because like just ain't it right now. Like there's a few, like there's some shows that, you know,
there are for sure, but I even remember growing up and like not even that long ago, like in the last 5-10 years, that I was like, you without even knowing what show you were watching, you knew you were watching a Canadian TV show.
I know, and like, and it's just like why is that? It's so stupid. It's because so like we have such an interesting like, I think, literary voice.
Yeah.
But, like, why isn't the sartorial voice matching? And it's just like, I think it's a bit pathetic. And I think that if we want to be recognized on like the global stage and, you know, like find an identity that lives outside of the kind of little sister to America, and we have to be like willing to like take a bit of a stance in terms of, you know, what our aesthetic is as a culture. Yeah. So anyways, all this to say,
I totally agree with all of that, by the way.
Homeschooled, like we really want to be fucking stylish. Like it's really important to both of us.
Yeah.
To Gwendolyn Cummin and myself, that it's chic.
Yes.
Because there's not a lot of chic TV coming out of Canada.
No.
And I think there's a market for it.
I do too. I think it can live on a global scale if it looks like it can live on a global scale, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And you guys wrote that as well, right? You're the writers and creators of it?
Yeah. Yeah. We're, yes, we are the creators and the writers on it as well. Yes.
Very cool.
Yes.
What other projects bubble?
What are we working on right now? Well, we're shooting another thing with Jay it's a pilot for a show called Funeral for a Lesbian Bar.
Right.
That we're developing with Shaftesbury and also Out TV as well.
Amazing.
So that does not have a green light. So we're still figuring out if we're going to make that show. But it's about the lack of queer spaces in Toronto, nightlife, restaurant, bar-y spaces, which is, unfortunately, I don't know if you know this, but the Beaver, one of the last queer establishments in Toronto that was fun to go and drink and dance at, is closing because of pandemic. But prior to that, I mean, like all the lesbian bars in Toronto were closed. Like Slacks shuttered, Hen House shuttered, even Holy Oak, which was like a brief little queer space up on Bloor, shuttered. And so the show was a rip-roaring comedy about an older sort of like Gen X lesbian trying to open, like trying to basically save Toronto from itself by opening up a new queer bar with the help of a Gen Z young queer bartender. It's about the intersection of different sort of like age demographics of queer people.
Yeah.
And what the sort of queer spaces have meant to those different age demographics, and how you know, a female specific queer space now is important, but like you know, is it more important than like an inclusive queer space? And so that's why we called it Funeral for a Lesbian Bar, because there's no lesbian bars left in Toronto, but also, do we need lesbian bars in Toronto anymore, or do we just need queer bars? And it's kind of a series that like explores that, and you know, and the history of, you know, of Toronto and its queer bar scene. So we've written a couple of episodes of that. It's very fun and very cool.
So, I mean, you've been creating content for, God, like how long in the media space? Not just like you've been doing for a while, but
like not that long.
But it feels like you've been around. Like,
that's amazing. Does it feel like I've been making stuff for a long time?
Yeah,
that's so nice.
But I think you're right. I think it's only been like 5 or 6 years, right?
Definitely hasn't been 6. I'm gonna go on my Instagram right now and I'm gonna look at the first picture that I posted.
Okay. Well, because I remember like Heidi and I were in talks about like creating avocado toast, and you finished the script while we were sort of developing our idea. So you were just like, you had like a year or two on us in terms of like your content.
Right. We filmed the first season of Barbell in 2017. No, it was 2017. Yep.
Seriously?
There you go.
Dude,
yeah,
that's
2017
years. You've only been making content for 3 years.
Yeah, I know. Been 3 years. I mean, that was January 2017, so it gets like closer to 4 at this point. And we were writing the script like a year before that. But we literally filmed the first season of Barbell.
Yeah.
I guess this January it will be 4 years ago. Like this January it will have been 4 years since we filmed the first season.
Okay.
But yeah, so not that long.
No.
I'm still a baby. I'm still a little baby.
You're still finding your feet. But I think, I mean,
emerging.
From this perspective, it seems like you've always had a very strong voice in the stuff that you've created. And I'm curious if you feel like as a filmmaker, you have a responsibility to an audience in terms of what content you're putting out there. And if so, what?
I think the only really responsibility that I like genuinely feel attached to is like inspire, like so cheesy, but like literally like inspiring people. I get that, you know, as artists, we have like some kind of responsibility to like, I don't know, different social causes. And by like shifting the paradigm in a lot of ways, but I don't actually think that, I think that you can, I think that you can do that simply by being true to like what you're trying to create. So I think that most artists are like pretty good people generally, that they have at least one, or that their reason for creating art generally tends to be at least somewhat altruistic in its pursuit.
Right.
If you just like pursue with truth and earnestness the idea that like planted itself inside your heart in the first place that made you want to make a piece of art, I think that is the only responsibility that you really have. I think that like, I don't know, I mean, at least that's what I think. I think it's wonderful that lots of other artists are like align their art with activism and different kinds of causes, but I don't necessarily think that every artist has to do that, obviously.
It's interesting, like, because I think that there's the old adage of saying, you know, write what you know, but that at some point you can't write what you know because you have to write other shit, and there's only so much that you know. But I think for me, it's like it comes down to like, what's the truth in it, and where are you mining the truth from in that, right? And I think anything that I've seen that you've made, I can see your perspective on that truth and like how it resonates for you. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a conscious thing for you, but that's how it's always felt to me. Like you're not creating like bubble pop, you know?
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, I think that, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I often say that like last year I went through a bit of a dark enlightenment. I felt for a long time I was kind of playing lip service to an idea, not actually being truthful to what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I think I've been in the last year or so been learning to think for myself a little bit more. I mean, it's so funny, you know, as soon as you believe that, you know, you've actually like found your authentic voice, and you're like, oh no, that was just a reflection of like, that was just an imitation of like somebody else's ideology or somebody else's voice, or like that was like, I find that I can fall victim to trends a lot of the time,
Oh,
and
interesting.
allow for trend kind of like really influence the way I think, what I'm thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying now to sort of be very like trend averse,
Mm-hmm.
except for when it comes to fashion, because that's not fun.
No.
um like try to be a bit more trend averse when it comes to art, really, so that the stuff can be more like authentically, you know, in my voice, and isn't just a refraction of like whatever fucking agenda the, you know,
Yeah.
mainstream media is interested in us propagating at that time. So trying, it's really difficult. I find that like, anyways, as soon as I feel like you find your voice, you're like, ugh, no, I was just regurgitating like that other thing that, you know, I thought, you know. So I often find that I struggle a lot. It's funny to hear you say that you think that you know, my voice is really comes through clearly in the stuff that I make, because I don't necessarily feel that way. I feel like I'm trying. I feel like it's something that I'm interested in and like try to pursue, but I don't always feel like I effectively achieve that.
That's, I mean, it is interesting to hear the adverse of that, because I also think maybe just like you make bold strokes with whatever you're doing. So whether or not that's, you know, your what you feel is your authentic voice, it comes across as a voice. So it's like, oh well, that's Knox's voice, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And I think as artists, we're always trying to curate that and figure out what that is, and where you land today versus yesterday.
Yeah, totally. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, God, like, God grant artists permission to fucking change, you know, change their minds.
Yeah. Do you feel like, I mean, I think everybody has an example of this, but the stuff that you've learned, the like, because you're constantly changing and trying new things on, where you're like, you feel like you've had a real learning experience from like a quote unquote failure that you can specify?
God, I failed in so many ways. So spectacularly. I don't know. I mean, like, the great failure of my life, I think, like up until this point, um, was like when I actually like pivoted to film and television. I think because like I wanted to be like a classical actress doing Shakespeare.
Yeah.
And like I wanted to like go to Stratford and like be a leading lady.
Yeah.
That was like the game plan. Like I went to Lambda, I got my little master's degree.
Yeah.
I came back, got a sick agent in Toronto, and was like I was like, okay, I'm ready to play Juliet now. And like it obviously didn't fucking happen for me. And you know, I was like pounding my head against the wall, being like, like can stage like Tarragon, why won't you hire me? And and it was like not it was just like not it wasn't working out for me.
Yeah.
And it was, and I felt like a huge failure, and it was really awful. And it kind of drove me to creating stuff, which I've actually always been more interested in.
Yeah.
You know, when I was a teenager, I used to like make dumb movies, and I wrote plays and like directed plays when I was a teen, and like was always writing fan fiction.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager. And anyway, so like I've always like, that's a sphere and a realm that, you know, I felt like I was always kind of like destined for, but I got caught up in the idea of this fantasy of this like career that I thought would make me really happy, and like this thing that I wanted, that I was chasing so hard.
Yeah.
That I, you know, wasn't able to achieve. And I think that like, well, what's the lesson there? I guess the lesson is that, yeah, like, you know, embrace the things that embrace you. I mean, you know, like we said, like this series of it, like me making media has only, like I've only been doing this really, like people only know me as like a filmmaker for like 3 years, and I have a really nice career now all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And if I had like, I guess it's like, I don't know, letting go of the dreams that don't serve you anymore, and like leaning into the things that like,
Yeah.
seemingly want to have you there. I guess it's like, it's, as with love, career is kind of the same way. It's just like love the thing that loves you back.
Mhm.
And then, in a weird circuitous way, sometimes you get like a modified version of the thing that you were chasing in the first place, which is, I think, really what I've been lucky enough to find.
Yeah.
So I think that like that would be my little piece of advice about failure.
I
It's
love
like,
that.
I don't know, most of the time, if you're working hard and willing to, I don't know, continue working hard in the face of failure, you'll usually find something that is fulfilling.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Eventually. And it's so funny. I actually had never asked you that question, and hearing you sort of say our historical storylines of how we came into the film and TV world are shockingly similar.
Yeah.
I did not go to Lambda, but same thing. Like I was like, I will be the next whatever Lucy Peacock at Stratford, like, and I did theater for 10 years, as did you, did it for a long time as well. But yeah, eventually I was like, oh yeah, when I was a kid, I used to force my non-actor friends to be in these ridiculous mockumentaries with me.
Yeah.
It's like when you come back around to the thing that you were doing as a kid that for some reason you became frightened by, or for me anyway, I became frightened by it. Then I jumped back in, and it sort of unfolded in a very circuitous way.
Why were you frightened by it, do you think?
Because I think somewhere along the line, someone told me, and I'm pretty sure it was my mother, but who knows? It's always our mothers. I think someone told me that I needed to understand the entirety of film history in order to be a filmmaker.
Oh, okay.
And because I didn't know that at 13, there's no way that I could have gone into film.
Oh.
And simultaneously, I think that there was some sort of belief paradigm that that acting for TV and film was superficial.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Which, because I wanted to be the grand dame of theater, but it's when I made the decision to switch into TV and film, like maybe 5 years ago, I was finding the exact opposite when I was acting on film. Like I actually could be more authentic on film than in theater, which is interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I really appreciated from you as like a fellow filmmaker in the same community as us was that you sent us this like really beautiful email when you watched Avocado Toast. And I just thought that was so classy and so lovely and so generous. Because it's one thing to just be like, yeah, I watched your show, it's great. But you like gave specific moments and love. And I just think that spoke volumes. So thank you for that.
I mean, like, I was so excited. Like, I've been excited about this show from the goddamn get-go. I gave to your Indiegogo when it came out.
Yeah, you did.
I was fucking. I mean, like, the thing is like, like we are sisters in arms on this one. Like,
yeah.
I feel like you guys, had the experience that we like really had, largely on like, making our own first like kick at the can in terms of like, making a series.
Yeah.
And yeah, I loved the show so much. Like I was pretty closely connected to like Heidi's story.
Yeah.
That I think got the blood into the show proper in a lot of ways. It's kind of a story. I was connected to that in a really fun way, so it was really exciting for me to watch that.
Cool.
And like I said before, like I was so delighted by like the bold aesthetic choices that you guys made. Like I think Sam is a fantastic director.
Yeah.
And I think I was so impressed with how fucking pretty it was. Like, god damn, that diner sequence with Wayne, like it's fucking gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's so good. And just like seeing like you and Heidi are fucking such talented actresses, and like it was so fun to watch you guys just like play off of one another. And It's a really good show. It's really, really good.
Thank you. Did you have a favorite character or a favorite moment that you can like that you just?
I mean, that diner sequence, like,
Yeah.
it's just like it's so fucking pretty and cool, and like it was magic, and like the lighting and that. Where did you guys shoot that?
There's a diner at Pape and Queen in downtown Toronto called Billy's Diner.
Billy's?
Billy's, yeah. Billy's Diner.
Never been there.
I think it only opened like a few years ago, like 2 years ago maybe. And then they closed for a bit. I don't know what they were doing. And then I think they reopened. But yeah, it used to be called Icy Spicy Fusion, which was just like, what a name. Yeah, so it has the bones of an old diner, and then it got so it kind of like it was not decorated as a diner, and then whoever took it over made it like throwback dinery. So Kiki, I still is an incredible set designer and production designer. So she really just like pulled out the stops, and Cheska with her lighting and stuff. Like we couldn't have done it without they made it look magic. Yeah, no, it was so exciting to shoot something like that. It's so different from anything I've ever seen.
Loved it. I was when I watched that, I was like, miracle.
Thanks, buddy. I really, really appreciate that. You and I met doing a play years ago in Toronto. I think it was 5 years ago. It might have been 6 though.
Perrie, it's longer than that.
What? No.
For the second time in this interview, I'm gonna look at my only like chronology. I love how earlier I was like, I'm gonna delete all my photos on Instagram, and
I know, and you're like,
I don't ever know when I did anything ever in the world.
I feel like I thought it was like 2015.
Okay, I'm looking right now because I know I posted a picture of the Skriker. Here we go. 2014.
God.
2014. So it's more than 6 years ago we did that play.
That was banana. Oh man, that's so long ago.
That is so long ago.
Crazy.
That's so long ago.
Yeah, that does not feel that long ago, but
it truly doesn't.
I guess it makes sense. But yeah, we were babies on that. So yeah, and so we did that, and then haven't really worked together on anything since. Like we haven't been on anything.
No, we haven't. Mm-mm.
And then right before COVID hit, I heard you were doing a movie, and then I was like, what movie is it? And Jay Stevens was like, oh, it's something to do with like some sort of satanic Christmas thing. And I was like, shut up.
Oh my fucking God, I am playing Cookie.
I am your sister.
Yeah. So fun. When I found out you were playing my sister, I was like, oh, fuck yeah. That's
yeah.
Like, honestly, like hearing that, like I was like, at that point I knew it was going to be a fucking good time. Like I already had like very high expectations of it being like a very nice time because the director, the producer, the cinematographer, the whole thing was like mad tight. Always.
Yeah.
And then when I found out like you were playing my sister, I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, this is going to be a goddamn hoot and a half.
You know?
It really was, wasn't it?
It really was. It felt like summer camp or winter camp or whatever your camp.
Like it was spring break and then it was summer camp.
Yeah. Because we got paused, and then when COVID happened, and I still remember that day when we both were the only people in the trailer parking, and you were just looking at me and you're like, this is done.
Oh God. Do
you remember that?
Do you remember that? Yeah, we were in the wardrobe, right?
Yeah. Wardrobe. Yeah, and no one else was there. Like it was a ghost town.
I'm like, can't believe they haven't called this off yet.
Yeah. Yeah. But we finished it. We did it.
I did not think we were going to get to finish it. Did you?
I'm an eternal optimist, so I genuinely was like, I just was like, I feel like I did have a dark moment where I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like I finally booked this like sweet little feature, and of course COVID happens. Like what are the fucking chances? So I did have a dark moment, I'm not gonna lie. But then when we weren't hearing you guys will never go back to set, like kind of in like May, I was like, maybe one day we'll do it.
One day. Yeah, I fully thought, I mean, I was so hopeful because I liked the movie so much and I wanted to finish it.
Yeah.
But I definitely had my dark days too, where I was like, there's no fucking way. There's no way.
I genuinely don't usually enjoy everything I do on camera. Like I'm like, but I actually like laughed and I was like, this is amazing.
Oh, you're fantastic in this film.
And so are you though, dude. Oh my God, you're so good. You're so good. Well, I will wrap this up, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for making the content you make. You're such an inspiration. And I genuinely mean that. I'm not just blowing smoke, but I'm constantly inspired by how hard you work and the content you create and the people you pull together for your projects. And it was a delight to work with you as an actor, you know, and just, get to know you.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
Do all these things.
Yeah. No, it's
right?
so wonderful. But thank you for supporting Avocado Toast and
yeah, season 2.
Like,
watch it. I
can't.
know it won't be for like a literal year.
Yeah,
Maybe longer.
I know, but you know what? As long as Slow Pitch and Avocado Toast get that sweet funding, let's whenever it happens, it happens. So
yeah, maybe next year we'll be launching those sweet little babies.
I hope so. I'm excited. I'm excited for Slow Pitch too. So yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, my autofiction blog. Go and read it. It's on my website.
What's your website, Knox?
It's www.karen-knox.com. But go to the autofiction section because I make a lot of art and it's really fun. But the thing that brings me the most genuine pleasure is my little writings that I put on this blog.
I didn't even know about this. This is what I'm doing with the rest of my afternoon.
You'll have seen most of them. It's mostly like most of them show up in my Instagram stories.
Okay.
There is some additional content on the blog.
Okay.
But yeah, like there's one thing that that's just for me that brings me such joy and pleasure.
Yeah.
It's writing my little thoughts on this autofiction blog. So everyone should read it. It's great reading.
I love that. I love that so much. I find you fearless. Like you're just like, these are my thoughts and I'm putting them out there.
Yeah.
Great.
I like it too. So don't be shy if you want to talk to me about my writing on my autofiction account.
Oh my God. You're gonna get so many DMs now. Well, thank you, Knox. I love seeing you sitting in the sunshine there, and it's so great to chat with you. And I look forward to whatever's next for both of us, and hopefully our paths will align once more to work together again.
Sooner than later.
I agree. All right, babe, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much for listening.
And thank you to Ontario Creates for the support to make Avocado Toast the Series podcast possible. You can pick your player to watch all 10 episodes of Avocado Toast the Series at www.avocadotoasttheseries.com.
We'd also love to give a huge shout out to Russell Lauder for the use of their beautiful song, Cost of Living. You can find more of their music sprinkled throughout the episodes of our web series, as well as on Spotify, Bandcamp, and iTunes. And links to their social media is in our